afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, any other unidentified persons mentioned above. Hi, welcome to Friday, Dave in the shed update. This week is mainly all about 3D printing, and what you see in front of you is Sydney, Australia, Sydney tramways, tram cars. The P we looked at last week. The gentleman who was after this P class has still not contacted me. If you're out there and you wanted me to do a P class for you, please get in touch, because your P class is here, sitting on my workbench, ready to go. Look at that, front and centre stage. Well, back into printing the New South Wales cars for my display purposes. Just jump out of sequence. Up here we have some models that I printed long ago when I first started doing 3D printing. They are Sydney. They are the brain fart there. They are the PR1 cars. So they are originally a P class tram running in the Sydney system, but modified to more match the R1 cars. Which I'm telling you that now because it will make sense. Because if we come down here, there is a Sydney R1. Sydney R. This is the original car that they put out in Sydney. Now, these ones I'm going to have to do a bit more printing work on, because these ones are a little bit over length in scale, and above it is also, because I like to test print everything, though I don't really work in HO, there is a HO Sydney R car. That one is a little bit under scale, so I've got to do some work within. I will share the files when I've finished, or if you're interested in them as they are now, let me know. But I tend to like to print stuff before I share them around. The art does need a little bit more work, so I will do a reprint when I know, but that's so far very happy with that. These ones will also become paint samples that I can practice painting on them before I do the top quality ones what I'm doing. So there we are. There is a R. Over here we then have the R1. Due to being the way they set the seats all up, the R cars, the original cars, weren't that efficient with loading and unloading big loads like a toast rack or the other cars were. So they modified them from having the two doors to the one, and they became the R1s. So there you have the Sydney R1, once again in the 1/4 inch scale, which is a little bit over scale what I whacked it on the blueprint, and then a HO scale R1. Now, the other cars I'm working on, and I've been sort of like doing all cars, trams, like Sydney, so I can do my display 1/4 inch scale display trams, so match my steam trams. Over here is, hang on, I've got to move some things. Here is the O, Sydney O class. Once again, I printed it in 1/4 inch, and there's also a smaller version, because I will share when they're done, unless you want them now, but when I'm finished, most of the design work's done now. I've done the rescaling and bits and pieces. So if anybody wants the STL files to print either of these or any of what I'm showing you, let me know. Do shout out. They're done as caricature cars. Some of the things, they're not absolutely spot on, because you've got to have a few little bits and pieces. What's the word? Compromises to print. But anyway, they're good enough. So you can look at it and go, oh yeah, that's a Sydney O. That's what a Sydney O look like. So if you want those, let me know. So once again, there is the O, and the O in the smaller scale. I've got my printing down pretty much spot on. I'm printing these in 2 sections so they fit in the printer. So it really is, that one's glued together. 2 mirrored sections. You glue them together. And yeah, I've got it pretty much down to where, compared to what I was printing 12 months, 18 months ago, these are absolutely minimal cleanup and away you go. So there you go, that's Sydney O. And now, working on this one, which is half, there's still another piece I'll show you in sec printing, because we print them in a half section, is the Sydney OP. So when we talked about the P cars that they brought up to R class standards, they then had some O classes when they rebuilt them. They built them to P class standards. Of course, the O's were original car, the P's were the next generation roughly. So there is, so doing on that, which is an OP. which is the O-class car they then brought up to P standards. If you don't know what a P car is, well, these this is the P. I showed you the other P. That is a P. In fact, there's a couple set of P's there in this HO scale, and a P painted up in the 1/4 inch scale behind. For those who don't know, 1/4 inch is roughly O scale, but in Australia we were calling it 1/4 inch scale. So all the blueprints I worked off are actually marked as 1/4 inch, or 7mm to the foot. Behind that, of course, is once again is the Brisbane car. I'm reworking the Brisbane cars as we speak, redoing the design work. They were printed before I was getting really good quality prints and bits and pieces. Light is shocking here. Brisbane SW6, 2 scales there. Yeah, so I'm doing my design work has got better and my printing skills have got better. Upgrading a lot of this stuff and doing better. Okay, let's go down the back. Have a look. 2 machines running this afternoon. That's all we're running, that's all we need. So this is the second half of the OP in all its glory, racking it out. Here is the smaller sample of the OP. So it's a full body print. So you can do on these machines, which is the Ender Free or Ender S series. The Frees are the old ones, the S is the new one. You can roughly do a HO full unit in one go. You can do the half the O in one whack. I could almost put a full size O gauge car, but the risks in losing a whole print instead of half a print and all sorts of that. I did look at doing the O's as in one job, just in one piece, but it would take also about 3 days to print, where these ones at the moment, how I'm printing them takes about 12-13 hours depending on the car, or even longer. Yeah, the bigger the print, the longer the print time. So there you go. Speaking of that, we still have one printed out. The Adventure Free C, we still haven't got. Hoping to get it under warranty, but still emails back and forth between the people I purchased from. In the end, I probably will have to just pull it apart and rebuild it myself. Talking about printing in one pieces, these little cards, this blue one was printed in an Adventure, in the little Adventure Free. So if you had an Adventure Free and you wanted to print these cards in roughly HO scale, you can in an Adventure Free, but that's sort of like, yep, the limit of the vehicle. And the thing is, printing, don't know if you can see how much you can see in the detail. They're both done at sort of touch the full quality. The Ender Free, my old Ender Free, actually did it a little bit better than what the Adventure did. So, printers for jobs, it's interesting. The settings were roughly main across the two, but I'm more happier with the print off this machine, which is the machine printing on the red material, which is the Adventure, which is the Ender Free with upgrades. Anyway, you're rabbiting, Dave. That's it. Next week, it'll be a bit of a slow week. Look like on Monday, I've got to go to Dubbo to pick up a truck for a friend. Tuesday, I have medical appointments. Wednesday, I've got other appointments. So really, the workshop time next week will be a little bit constrained, but we'll still have fun. Projects in the pipeline. Well, I have the design work for the LP, the Newcastle LP, which is the other big double bogey car on the system. So yes, I haven't forgot the LPs. I will have, hopefully, probably next week, showing you the LP car that I'm doing once again. I'll print it and design it in the 1/4 inch scale, and then shrink it down to the smaller scale, and revisiting the Brisbane car. I was never happy with the print level I've got that, and so we'll have a better quality FM. As to my modelling taste, I'm more interested in the Sydney trams, in the double truck, the more modern era cars. So even though there are likes of N's and J's and M's and other cars, probably won't have a go at them. I just not that much fancy. But if anybody really wanted me to design one, have a look one, let me know. I've got all sorts of plans. Yeah, so quite strangely, really keen to print the steam cars. But the in-between, some of the in-between stuff, yeah, okay. Prison car might pop up. breakdown, O might pop up because that's probably easy to do. But you never know. If you're interested in any of the Sydney electric trams in any way and interested in what I'm doing, let me know. And we'll be in touch soon. So that's it for this week. Talk to you next week. Farewell from Dave in the shed. Don't forget, like and subscribe, comment, and please get in touch if you would like to have a go at printing any of this stuff yourself. Interested in my design files, let me know. Bye for now. The best thing to do, the way to do this stuff, and not brilliant, but I just thought I'd give you a glimpse. This is the design work so far on what I'm saying was the LP. Now I designed this all in Tinkercad, and those who want to poo-poo Tinkercad, it actually is pretty good for doing quick 3D printing and stuff. But that's once again, it's half a car, because that's what we whack in the printer, and then when we downscale it, we then join the two bits together and print a smaller bit. There, that's the LP. Getting ready to go into what is called the slicer, which then creates the file that goes into the 3D printer, and we probably see some results from that next week. Once again, don't forget, like and subscribe. Hit the likey button, let you know when the video comes out next week. If you've got any questions, comment, email me, get in touch with me on Facebook. Bye.